instead of oh, there we go.
There we go.
Hey, we're here.
Started. Hello. It started.
Hello.
We were definitely on time. That was we're all ready. How you going, Troy?
I'm good.
Brilliant. Brilliant. That's good. So I suppose, should we start out a little bit, just a short intro? Who are you? What do you do? Why do you do it?
Who am I? What do I do? And why do I do it? Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
If you're
so
okay with that.
yeah, my name is Troy Jonathan Ritchie, and I am a storyteller. And why I do it is, I'm a coach. So I coach. I just retired from coaching basketball, and I kind of a life coach. I'm a really big fan of mental health and a good mental health. And what I find is the most impactful way for people to come out of a rut or to change course of their life is through story. I think the power of story trumps everything out there. AI will replace writers in our industry. It'll replace editing in our industry. It will not replace the foundation of an original story. And I'm a big fan of the storyteller, the power of story. The first book I wrote was called "You Got It, Now Go Get It," and the idea is that once you discover something, your light bulb moment, right? My company's called Boom. It's when they have that boom moment,
Yeah.
they can now make changes in their life, and to get that boom moment is, in my opinion, telling a story. So that's the who, what, why.
That's beautiful. That's
Yeah,
beautiful. And do you mind if
thank you.
I love what you said there about well, first of all, the title, "You've Got It, Now Go Get It," right?
Yeah,
And I think that's so important because even even that original story that you're talking about, I think people need to recognize that in themselves. And I
yeah.
suppose, do you find in your line of work, and you said you're coaching as well, you find that a lot of people have the talent, or perhaps they don't think they do, and they think, oh, if I just do all this, then I'll get the talent, and then I can start. I suppose to frame the question, how many of those do you think already have it? Is that why you titled it as such?
Well, the reason I titled it is because you have so many people that are younger than me. I'm Gen X. So this more applies to my kids, maybe millennials, where they're working for a cause, right? And they know what they do, they know why they do it, and yet they don't know who they are.
Mm,
So picture them painting the most beautiful home, and they're on a ladder and they're painting and they're almost done and they realize they're at the wrong house. And for me, understanding who you are first before you go and conquer the world with your cause, because everybody wants to be a part of something, right? Um, and
everybody
and
wants
so I,
impact.
yeah, they want that tribe. They want to be a part of a group, a cause they believe in. I'm not saying that's wrong. What I'm saying is that if you don't know who you are, if you don't know who you are, then you're gonna you might be unhappy for the rest of your life
Mhm.
because you're doing all the work, you're doing all the hustle. How many rich people do you know that are unhappy? I know quite a few,
You have
and it
many.
makes zero sense to me, right? It doesn't make any sense, and it's because, in my opinion, they're not doing what they were born to do. And when I would do leadership development in my coaching, one of the questions that I would ask is, have you ever done anything where in the middle of you doing it, you say to yourself, man, I was born for this? And of all the people that I would interview, and I talked to about 30 people a week, only one said yes, and it was boxing. He was a boxer. So there's a
Right.
lot of people that are just they're going to college, they're getting a job afterwards, and they just are going through what the world has told us how we're supposed to go, especially in the States. and they don't have any idea of who they are. And that leads to mental health challenges, it leads to depression, and then it leads to suicide. So for me, Simon Sinek, I'm a big self-help guy. Simon Sinek is very popular. He wrote this book called Start With Why. Have you read that book?
I haven't. Familiar with him though. Absolutely adore
Yes.
what he talks about and what he stands for.
Yes. So I respectfully disagree with Simon
Okay.
because every example he gave in the book were brands we already knew who they were. So he
Mm.
gave, Apple was one of them. We know
Yeah.
Apple. So yeah, if they already know you, then share your why and go close that deal. But if
Mm.
they don't know you, you got to start with who,
Yeah.
and then you lead into the why. And look at how you ask the question: who, what, why. Why is important. It helps close deals. But if you start with why and a stranger, you haven't earned their respect and trust to go there yet.
Mm. Yeah. Right. So what does that path often look like? And I hope you don't mind bringing it up, but just for people
Yeah,
watching it, you've got that
yeah,
experience in sales, and
yes.
how have you found connecting with that why, and let's say cold calling, like that's not a hey, hi John, how are you, why do you want to buy this? It's there's a
Exactly. You
progression.
start with who. Yep.
Ex-
Well,
exactly.
the cold call, we could do a whole podcast on cold calling. Cold calling, the benefit of cold calling is trigger words.
Mm,
And you want to place them strategically in your opening script.
mm,
Now, one of the things that I teach is you always include where you're from in your opening script.
mm,
I'm calling from Vegas. Immediately, because you mentioned a location, who you're talking to is going to visualize whatever they know about Vegas. Maybe the last time they were there, maybe they watched The Hangover, whatever Vegas imagery they have, it hits them. They cannot deny it, right? And when
yeah.
it hits them, it just bought me 5 more seconds to talk. So you give your name. Hi, my name is Troy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm calling with Boom Video Productions. We're here in Vegas. I've incrementally bought a little bit of time, and then you get into the reason I'm calling you is I saw your last post on LinkedIn. Man, that was really, really cool. I would love to work with you. I don't know if we're a good fit though. Do you have a few minutes? And then you ask them like 2 or 3 questions.
Yeah, right. Okay. So the conversation that Simon Sinek has is, starting with the why. But I love the way you articulated that, in that if they already know you, then you can start with a why, because
Yes.
that is it's almost a sacred thing. It's a trust thing. Like, you don't want to walk
Yeah.
around and tell people why you're doing everything that you do, because
Yeah.
that means something to you. But
Yep.
once people understand who you are and what you do, and of course as well, like you just said, location as well, like where you do it is quite
Yeah.
quite important.
Yeah.
For example,
Yeah.
like if I say I'm a filmmaker in tourism here in New Zealand, and I do
Yes.
it because it's my home, it's where I was raised, it was
Yep.
where I learned these outside skills, I learned socializing, I learned everything to do with life, and I've come back after 7, almost 8 years traveling the world, and I've come back just to
Hmm.
capture the scenery and the connection and the nostalgia and the spirituality of home.
Yeah.
That in itself, like what we've just done it. We've
Yep.
gone through the practice, and I've
Yep.
done it on myself, and now I feel more valued. I feel like, wow, this is, which is great, because I've never actually done it before. So this is I
Yeah.
hope you don't mind
Well,
that,
and,
just
and and so let's say you
live.
call someone from New Zealand, right? You're in New
Yes, yeah.
Zealand, you call someone in New Zealand. Now you go to neighborhood, right? You just keep going down in the area because the only purpose of it is to buy you more seconds. If you can deliver, my wife makes this comment, Troy, I don't know if you've known the person for 30 years or if it's your first call. So when you
Mm,
do a cold call, you want to get to a place where you sound like you already know them.
mm,
So because of your energy that you're transferring, hi, my name is Josh Campbell. Josh Campbell. They're thinking about who is Josh Campbell. You're on the next sentence.
Yeah.
And I'm with such and such productions. Did I meet him at a trade show? How do I know this guy? Why does this guy know me? Right. And then that's energy that you cannot script. That's got to be you. You genuinely have to want to talk to them. And so when you call them, and what's so funny is that I'm a filmmaker and I haven't produced one film, right? And
Mm.
I never in my wildest imagination would have ever realized that my 30 years of sales would help me in reaching out for film. And it's the same
Right.
principle. You act
Yeah.
like you know them, you just go with where you're from. It's all these little tidbits are triggers that are buying you 5 minutes. And because you don't want to talk for more than 5 minutes on a cold call
Right.
because you've
Okay.
interrupted their day.
Mm.
Your purpose is to schedule a 30-minute call with the script that Michael gave us. You want to schedule that call, and they may say, "Oh, Josh, I got time right now." And Josh, that's when you say, "I don't have time right now, but I can call you back in a couple hours." You totally and now the risk is you'll never get them on the phone again. That's the risk, right?
Yeah.
But the reward is you are establishing peer relationship. And a
Mm.
lot of times folks in our trade, the client's king and I'm a peasant. And I
Mm.
don't I don't work that way. Michael doesn't work that way. Michael with clout, he doesn't teach that. You want to be as equal as you can because you're the one bringing your ideas. So if you cold call someone you desperately want to work with and they're like, "Yeah, I got a few minutes." Their mindset isn't to listen to you. So if you take that 30 minutes when their mindset isn't to listen to you, you're overcoming obstacles. So where you got to go do the whole thing over again. So it's best when you say, "Oh, you know what? I actually don't. I don't." Now you look like a boss, right?
Yeah.
But you know
Exactly.
what? How about do you have time in 45 minutes?
Mm.
Well, let me check oh yeah. Now you send a calendar invite. We're going to talk about ABC. The risk is they don't want to talk about ABC, so they decline. But
Mm.
imagine if they accept. You've got them hook, line, sinker for the next stage in your sales approach, right?
For
So
sure.
for me, I'm gonna have to raise money for film. My first film, I've got 29 movies in my head, and my first and I don't have the skill set that you have, that Michael has, that other filmmakers have. I simply have vision and idea, right? So I use AI a lot, and I realized of starting off with a feature. Someone gave me advice. He said you got to earn a feature film. He says you're a nobody. You've never done any movie, and you're coming here trying to act like you're gonna raise 5 million to do a feature film. You got to earn it. So now we're doing shorts, 6 shorts in 2025. The first short I thought was going to be the easiest because it was all AI.
Mm.
It is controversial, and AI will reject some of my questions because, because
Oh no.
I violated their code of whatever. And so now we're in May, and I finished. I have the framework for Act One. I have Act Three done in what I call Scratch. I don't know what's
Mhm.
called. I was a musician, and you do Scratch to then
Yeah.
lay down the real tracks. So I've done a Scratch
Mm.
Act Three, and Act Two is a race, an animated sperm race that is very difficult for the POV that I have in my head for animators to do. And so I try to go to AI, and AI won't do it because it's too touchy of a subject. So it's been a challenge, man.
Yeah.
On the first one I thought would be the easiest. We have 5 others waiting for the first one to be done, and so we'll see if we get the one done this year.
That's it. That's it though, right? Like it's a steep learning curve. And
Yeah,
then once you get that entry point, and I think not to I, not touch wood, as soon as you get that one done, the rest will just sort of flow because you've been through all those challenges, because you've
yeah,
gone up such a steep hill and you reach these great heights and you learn all these things and you get all these pillars of knowledge from these different areas and different people. That
yeah,
next one is like, oh, okay, it's not as hard as that first one. Or you know, again, touch wood, like maybe it will be another steep thing, but it's the passion in doing it, right? It's
Oh
the
yeah.
passion in learning, and then you refine that product that you have and that workflow, and so that you can deliver the same result, right, or
Yeah.
even better. And you just refine it over time, and that's one of those things. You said it there, that you don't have the same skill set as what some of the other students have, and we all look at you like we don't have what you have in that, you know, that motivation, that
Yeah.
drive, that ability to just make a conversation flow. And I remember
Yeah.
first call with you, Troy, a few months ago on a Zoom call. Like it just felt like I already knew you. Like we were in a Zoom
Mm.
call with Douglas, and it just felt like, yeah, I already know this guy. Like we're
Yeah.
going through the same academy, the same course, the same program. And it just
Yeah.
felt like, yeah, we're in this together. There's like a camaraderie about it, but you have this
Well, hey,
ability
let's give him a
right
shout out, right? Let's
for
give him a
sure.
shout. If you're watching this and you are a filmmaker, you need to go to Clout Agency. I almost called it Clout University. It feels like a university.
I mean, it feels like one. Like it's got that. It's that pressure, you know. And I think one of the best
Yeah.
parts about it is that it is pressured. It's pressured to
Yeah.
do well. And I think
Yeah.
that's what university taught. Well, like I went to university, and the best part about that was the ability to deal with high pressure situations. Like I'm
Yeah.
not an exam person, but after I went through exams, then I got into the real world. I was like, oh, this is
Yeah.
it's chill. It's pretty easy. And I think that's
Yeah. It's
one of the
awesome.
most valuable things out of it is like drive through it, go for it, do it, build. You know, and there's it's a social aspect too. I love going to those calls and when there's multiple people and you just go,
Yes.
this guy's so cool. Like I wish I could do what he does. And then the best part is when someone says it about you, right?
Yeah.
Like about your work. When you feel it, maybe it's the artist in us, like it's the creative where you go, oh, it could be better. You know, this is a bit, you know,
Always.
off. Tweak the color, or this shot's not perfect. And then someone goes, I
Yes.
love it. You go, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. No, yeah, I think we all deal with that. Michael told me once, he said, because what Clout did for me was they took me out of charging so little for my video production work. And
Yeah.
and it was doubting myself, and from one meeting to the next, it was average of $500 a video, and the person bought it for almost $10,000. And it felt weird. And Michael tells me, he says, bro, you think this feels weird? Wait till you find out that someone better than you charges less than you. And that just hit me like, oh man, I can't worry about that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a whole new
Yeah.
world, isn't it? Whenever you bump the price and you kind of value it yourself. But I suppose, and just to relate it back, and I'd love to ask you more about the connection between sales and filmmaking, but
And that's
the core thing.
pardon my family screaming in the background. Something just happened.
That's okay. That's all right. It's
Yeah.
not come through. We can't hear it. But
Yeah. On a
yeah.
podcast. I'm on a podcast, guys. Thank you. Yeah.
Love it. Oh, this is
Thousands of
so good.
people are going to be watching this.
It's beautiful. Hey, they can make an appearance if they want to. That's fine.
I can't. Yeah.
Everybody's welcome.
Yeah.
The, I think the core thing about raising the prices and feeling okay with it is understanding that we don't decide for the customer. And I think that's a really important sales thing as
Yeah.
well, is the customer says that they want to buy it. You don't say no, you don't say, oh, this is too expensive. It's like if they're converted or that you set the price to what
Yeah.
you need it to be, like from 500 to 10,000 is that's a beautiful example, because there's so many things packed into that price tag. There's
Right.
not just production, there's editing, there's the artistry, there's the resale value. They can use that
Yeah.
forever, effectively, or at the very least, they're going to have hopefully thousands of people watching their video and their brand, and they're
Yeah.
going to make sales out of it. So when you realize, and I'll articulate this because I know that you already know, but if they make, depending on the industry, 1 to 2 to maybe even
Yeah.
3, 4 sales, that's paid
Oh, yeah.
back, and they're making profit on top. So if you had sold it for 500, then that's such a bargain deal for them, but you're not making any
Yeah.
money off their future sales as well. And I think that's where the value is, perhaps, especially for new people in the industry, is, yeah, it might be a 30-second video, but that might mean 100 grand in sales for
Yeah.
that company that you're doing it for.
Exactly. Exactly. And what I'm learning is the curveballs that because I would do it so close to the vest. I had my first agency deal. The reason I'm not with Cloud is I signed two clients that are just all of my time. And one of them, it was a nonprofit. I'm working with an agency, creative agency, and the guy told me because I'm going to lose money on the deal. And the guy told me, he said, this might be a good learning curve for you. So the creative agency was literally telling me I should have charged more because I wasn't I budgeted for editing team offshore. He wanted a
Uh-huh.
local editor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I didn't budget for a local editor.
Okay.
So now it cut into my profits. Did my camera go away? Oh, there it went.
It did. Yeah. We're back.
It's weird. I put my hand up and it. Interesting. Yeah.
Gestures.
Gestures. Yeah. Yeah.
Google thing. Sorry. Yes, you were saying the creative agency said
Oh, did it cut
to.
my audio off too?
No.
Oh.
I did catch you.
Oh, cool.
But will you finish your point there? It sounded like you were mid-story.
Well, I asked first. I didn't consider two things.
Mhm.
One, I didn't consider 50% up front.
Mhm.
I spaced. I was excited. I had to get a DP, a gaffer, a grip, hair and makeup. First time I'm working with hair and makeup, and so I'm excited building out this proposal and considering that the nonprofit doesn't have a lot of money, and um, and I asked, "What's your budget?" And they said, "What's your charge?" With all that thing, and
Mhm.
they paid 50% up front. Well, I pay my people,
Mhm.
and my people, and I only increased the rate by 20% maybe of cost.
Mhm.
So now the shooting's all done. We're getting ready to edit, and I'm a net negative because I only got 50% up front. See what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's the one thing I learned is like, okay, I'm going to double the cost. So I
Mhm.
get paid up front for everything, and then the rest is a profit and the unexpectables, that something that's unexpected that comes up. Which there are a few, and I didn't budget in lunches. I mean, you got a crew, that's like $150, $200. So there's a
Yeah.
lot of learning on that, but it's been a blast.
Mhm.
The danger now is that too much work is going to take me away from the creative side, but
Mm.
providing for the family is first,
Mm.
and we'll cross that bridge when it comes there.
Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. It was a conversation that we were having on one of the group calls last night. Is the money's in the boring, right? Like you've got to
Yeah,
do the non-creative work because that's the one that pays the bills. That's the one that
yeah,
allows you that space in order to be creative. But you have to do the boring stuff first. And there's always, you got to work out the numbers. There are unexpected things, but I love what you said there in that the 50% upfront at cost, and plus,
yeah.
was it 20% on top of what you were originally? Like I think that's such an
It has
important
to be.
thing. Yeah, like because 50% upfront it pays for the production, and then
Yep.
I think even Michael said that is having the ability to produce the thing
Right.
is on the customer, because they need to realize, like, let's use a furniture store for example. You got to pay for that piece of furniture to be
Yes.
imported usually, or you get a discount on the cheaper thing, which is the floor item, and no one wants the floor item, right? They want it brand new.
That's
Usually if
right.
it's a business, right? Like B2B, no one wants the floor item, right? So you got to import it, you got to have it built. Plus it's being custom made. Like this is bespoke for that company, and it's really important thing for that production to exist, because otherwise you're paying out your ears for a company that has all these employees, they've got the gaffer, they've got the lighting guy, they've got
Yep.
everything, they've got uh, multiple different camera angles. They've got a location set up. That doesn't happen at the on a daily basis. No one has that. You've got to coordinate. You've got to project manage. You've got all these things together, and it's on the customer to pay for that. And then at the end of it, once they see the result, that's when you're making your money on top. And I think that's just where the filmmaking is these days, particularly when it's to do with marketing and branding. Yeah, it's an important thing. We'll take it left field because I think more filmmaking side of it.
Sure.
I say left field. Yeah. We'll take a slight detour. One of the questions that I really wanted to ask you was, you've been in sales, and at what point did you go, you picked up a camera or you saw this industry and you went, that's what I got to loop it back to your motivation and your why, who you are. What point did you go, this is it?
Yeah. It was before any type of gear. I was raised really religious. I'm religious to this day, but was raised very strict. It was in the 80s, and we weren't allowed to watch rated R movies. I have a younger brother, and I wasn't a good big brother growing up at all. We've reconciled, and we're friends now. But I was 19 years old, living at my parents' house, and I had to sneak to watch a movie called Backdraft. Have you seen the movie Backdraft?
Yeah.
It's Kurt Russell, Stephen Baldwin. I forget who the female actress was, but Kurt Russell was the older brother to Stephen Baldwin. And it was in that film that I walked out knowing two things. Number one, I need to be a better, bigger brother. Number two, I'm going to be a filmmaker. I was at 19. Now I moved to Seattle to go to school. I was going to go to school for 2 years, find my wife, move my family to Virginia Beach, where CBN University and an individual named Pat Robertson had a film school. Everything I do is going to be faith-based. So it's a great opportunity because faith-based film is awful. So it's a great opportunity to disrupt that market with some good quality film. And I got in a rock and roll band, and I was in a band from 92 to 2005, I think. So I kind of detoured my film making journey, and I have 4 kids. I didn't realize kids are that much of a detour. It's not a bad thing. It is what it is. So the whole time, I don't have a college degree, and I got to provide for the family. Sales was it. I mean, if you can book gigs in churches, you can sell anything. And so I had one of our years we had 90 gigs in a year. I mean, we were traveling across the country and all independent. We never got signed. But in the back of my mind, I knew what I was born to do. I knew it. In our faith world, we call God called me. I knew what I was born to do. And when you, like, to go back to my book, when you are living life not doing what you know you were born to do you think that impacts your mental health? It does tremendously. And then you make poor choices on credit cards, purchasing band equipment and things like that. It further delays your destiny because you're in debt. You don't have the freedom to go do a free job as an actor to build your portfolio because you have to pay your bills, right? So there's a lot that goes into that. And then COVID hit. In 2016 and 2017, had a great year in sales.
Yeah.
Moved the family to Vegas. I wanted to get out of the rain. Housing was cheap. And my commission check, I estimated it to be $69,000 in January of 2018. The commission check was $0. And I was in the fetal position for a weekend. It hit hard.
Mm-hmm.
And the story goes, I was looking for dog food to buy my ailing dog. 13-year-old dog was dying. Josh, do you buy the big bag of food or the little bag of food? What do you buy?
I'd love to buy the big bag of food.
That's so I'm in this pet store. I offended my wife because I asked her, do we get the little bag? Do we get the big bag? She's like, just put the dog down already. I'm like, that's not what I asked. So I'm angrily standing in this pet store looking at the little bags and the big bags. $15, $60. Didn't get my commission. I'm angry. And right next door
Mhm.
to the pet store was the library. So I pulled over on my way home, walked out with 11 self-help books.
Mhm.
Read them. This is February of 2018. Read them, and that year I read 63 either professional development, personal development, or self-help books. The next year I
Mhm.
read 100. The next year I read 125. The next year I read 200. So I read 500 books in this short span of time.
Mhm.
When you read that much, you have everything in here. You have to get out.
Mhm.
So I did a podcast Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, 1,000 episodes over 4 years. Micro podcast because I would read a book and I would share the book. Read a book, share the book. Read a book, share the book. Guess how many listeners I averaged on that podcast?
I don't want to make up a number because I see I know a bit
I'll tell
about
you. I'll tell
podcasts.
you.
Is it
Less than
10? Is it 20? Is
15.
it
Less
100?
than 15 people. Less
15.
than 15 people. I would have. I would have. I would have agencies call me up. Hey, we'd like to advertise on your podcast. And I started laughing. I was like, "Oh, really? Yeah, yeah. You're so successful. Oh, how do you define success? I define it as doing a podcast every day. You probably define it differently. They found that I had less than 20 listeners, and they're like, "Oh, never mind."
Yeah.
But what I did was I downloaded the text using Otter. I downloaded the audio into text, and that became my book, right?
Right.
And so it wasn't feeble attempts. And so when COVID hit, I don't know if you know, self-publishing skyrocketed. There are
Mm.
more self-published books in COVID, right? Some
Mhm.
people watch Tiger King. Some people wrote a book. I wrote a book.
Yep.
And I wrote the book. I had an iPhone. I joined the chamber. I was laid off. I was on unemployment, food stamps. I joined the chamber and I said, I am a filmmaker that has not produced one film. This is in 2020, 2021. And I said, I have my iPhone. I know iMovie. Remember iMovie?
Mhm.
And
Yep.
I will come and I will film your small business, no charge, unless you want to buy it. If you want to buy it, I will have it filmed. I'll write the script, film, and I'll edit. And if you want to buy it, you can buy it. You name your price. So
Mhm.
these small business owners, I got paid $50. I got paid $1,000. I got paid everything in between. But I got 51 clients in those 3 years. And even though it was with my iPhone, even though I went from iMovie to Final Cut, I learned how to book the gig, drive to the location, write the script before AI, and then direct them because they don't know how to be on camera. And I learned
Mhm.
about lighting and I learned about all these different things, plugins. Hallelujah. Right? I mean, I live off plugins. And people think I'm this great videographer. And then a guy invests and says, I want to invest in you. I said, no. He said, I'm going to do it anyway. So I said, okay, in order for me to feel better, let's tie it to gear, not me, right? Because imposter syndrome. So we
Sure.
tied it to gear, and it was two FX3s, it was lenses, it was the lights, it was the whole thing. So when you say what sparked it, it was a movie that sparked it. The gear
Mhm.
came, I don't know, 30 years later, and I'm
Mhm.
still not a gearhead. right? So it was a movie that changed my life, and to hear God's call to be a filmmaker.
Yeah.
Very
Wow,
long
that's lovely.
answer. Yeah.
No, it's beautiful. Like the longer the answer, the better, because the way that you even tell that story is there's beginning, middle, end, and then it ties back. Like it's
Yeah.
it's substantial and it's meaningful. And I love the way that, like, I love the way you tied it back to God. Like I have Saint Anthony around my necklace. This was
Mm.
a gift from my granddad, who sadly passed away a few
Wow.
years ago,
Awesome.
not last year, the year before. And it was just sitting in my auntie's house in Ireland, and then she gifted it to my dad. And
Mm.
only a couple of weeks ago did it arrive. And yeah, this now lives with me because I never
Awesome.
really got to know him. It was, yeah, it's that call to God, I think, is so vital. No way.
Yeah.
That's the door. Of course. All right, I'm so sorry. Someone is at my door and I'm the only one home. So give me two
Okay, go.
seconds.
Go get it.
I'm so sorry for that.
No worries.
Apologies.
Cool.
This is what happens when you hire contractors.
That's right.
The only anyway. I love the way that you answered that question. Just to bring us back, because that,
Yeah.
I think that it was Backdraft.
Yeah.
That's the film that sparked it all. And I think that's such a poetic and a beautiful explanation of how it all sort of tied back. So you went through this journey that sort of
Mhm.
called you back to God, called you back to your destiny and what you
Yeah.
were put on this earth to do. And just to acknowledge, like, even though you had 15, 20 listeners on your podcast, that many episodes, and maybe it wasn't the same 15 people, maybe it was a different
Sure.
20 people, but that one podcast might have shifted that mindset. And if you could do that with one person, I think it's such a
Yeah.
beautiful thing if you could change one person's life to
That's right.
inspire or spark motivation. For me, I think that is a life well lived.
Yep.
Even if you go through, we might make it to 90, 100, 110 with the way that medicine's going, or it might be tomorrow. We don't know.
Yeah.
You never
Exactly.
know. And so to put all that effort into those podcasts and into yourself and then share it, I think that's such a beautiful thing, inspiring thing.
Yep.
And I think, if anything, you should start up that podcast again, because with all this experience, and now that you are now living, I want to say living the dream, but you're doing it. You're in it now. You are the filmmaker.
Yes.
You are on the other
Yes.
side of sales. You're raising kids, and
Yeah.
you've become this brother to your brother. Like I'm a middle brother as well. I resonate
Yeah.
with everything that what
Yeah.
you've said, Troy. I'm just earlier in the process. Like I'm 29 and
Yeah.
I don't have kids, but I've traveled the world and moved around. And it sounds
Yeah.
like you've moved around America as well. In that,
Yeah.
it seems like now that you're in it. From my point of view, I'd love to just listen to even if it's like a 10-minute or a 5-minute or a 2-minute thought that you've got. I
Well,
think there's value in
yeah,
that.
you can go to troyritchie.com if you want to listen, want to catch up. troyritchie.com. The book is there and all the podcasts are there. I'm going to start another podcast. However, I'm
Mm,
so busy that all the creative free, if it doesn't bring in revenue right now, um, we don't do it. And it's called Stories and Stogies. And I'm going to interview folks in a cigar lounge here in Vegas. And we're just going to tell stories, smoking cigars. That's it. That's the whole agenda of the show. Is stories and
beautiful.
stogies. Yeah. So then there is a plan there, but no, and they're very short. They're 2 to 3, sometimes 4 to 5 minutes. And because when you ever write a book, this is what they told me,
Mhm.
Troy, what is your one thing that you're bringing? Because true writers felt threatened with Amazon's publishing
Mm,
because Amazon doesn't check the grammar. So you have all these true writers, editors, and now you have this influx of bloggers saying I'm a published author.
yeah.
Well, so uh, what you can do with that is uh, my one thing was that I read books.
Yeah.
I don't anymore. Actually, God said it's time to stop reading and start doing. I
Mhm.
heard that very clearly. I
You've
am
absorbed
I'm in
the manuscript.
sabbatical. Yeah, I'm in sabbatical. But just that was my one thing. Well, what qualifies you to write a book? I read books, and that was it. And so,
Mm,
but you know what it showed me, Josh,
yeah.
why I'm going to be a great filmmaker is because it's more about project management than it is about the creative.
Mm,
It is, and when you write a book, do not just sit down and start writing. They tell you that. Sit down and get your outline. And then the
yeah.
outline is your framework, like a shot list. I know
Mhm.
there's some filmmakers that we'll be fluid. It's a long day, man. But
Yeah.
if you put a shot list, you can. And this is why I tell my business partner. I brought to him the shot list, right? And he's looking at it and he goes, "Well, I had a different idea." That's okay. We threw the shot list away, but at least you're coming with it
Yeah.
because when you don't, the alternative is, so what do we want to do here? What you're spending 20 to 30 minutes on developing your mindset. And in my opinion, you show up with the mindset already. It can always change, right? You don't want
Yeah.
to not be able, you don't want to be flexible, but film and all these films I'm working on, it's all in the structure phase. So by the time I sit down with someone, I'm going to be like, here's the full short film in a scratch version. So now when they look at it, they're true animators. They can animate it because they saw my samples.
Yeah.
And so that's what I found.
Yeah. No, no, for sure. For sure. And it shows that you're prepared as well. It
Yeah.
shows that you're a professional. You rock up and you go, "This was our shot list." And even
Yes.
though that guy said no, that's we had something different in mind.
Yeah.
Great. Now you know what it's not.
That's
And I
right.
think that's what a
Exactly.
lot of people need to realize is if you rock up and you have you're fluid, you're like, "Oh yeah, we're fine. We'll just see what happens." Like
Yeah.
there's a danger in that because then people think, "Oh, you're unprepared. You don't really know what you're doing." Like,
Yeah.
imagine, let's say, like a plumber or a tiler rocks up. Like they've done the quoting. They're sort of that you've already got the
Yep.
idea. This is shoot day. This is do the job. If
Yep.
the plumber or electrician rocks up and goes, "Yeah, I'll just sort of make it up," but then you already know what the job
Yeah.
is supposed to do. You'd think
Yeah. Yeah.
this guy really know
Well,
what he's doing. But I trust
uh,
him working on my house. Like,
yeah.
it's
And there's a funny story. The creative agency I was working with, right?
Mhm.
He's like, I said, who's doing the storyboard? He goes, no storyboard. We're just going to go to a center. There's a bunch of kids there. He's going to capture some
Mhm.
shots. So the
Yeah.
first day we did it, I'm like, oh heck no, I'm not doing this again. So this is the power of AI. So I go into Chat GPT. The 4-year-old brand video is what we're replacing. So they want to keep that same vibe in a new video, new people, new video. So I go in the chat, I put the URL of that old video. I say, watch this video. We have a shoot on Friday. There's 80 kids coming. We need tight, wide, and medium shots. We're going to be there for this number of hours. Create for me a shot list that will match what they want in the video. Enter, and it built the whole shot list. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
It
That's
watched the video for me and it built the shot list. So I show up and I'm like, hey, client, creative agency, here's the shot list. He was like, this is amazing. I said, yeah, it really is. Be prepared.
That's beautiful. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. And I think tying back to what you said, it's about project management. You don't
Yes.
have to be creative all the time. You don't have to put all this. I know I'll speak from experience, and I feel like a lot of people might feel this as well, is that you put a lot of emotional weight on, I have to put all this effort into being creative for the storyboard and the shot list and how
Yep.
we got to build these things. And I have to know the tech and I have to do all of this.
Yep.
It can free flow if you dedicate time, and you've got to leverage the tools that exist. Like ChatGPT is free and everybody's using it. And I put it in the same category as how when Google was first released, people were
Mm.
saying, oh, what do you mean you're searching on Google? You're getting the answer too quickly. Go down the library,
Wow.
read a book.
Yeah,
It's
no.
the exact same position, right? Like
Yeah.
everybody then moved into Googling. And then I've been in
Yeah.
software engineering, like a
Well,
professional software engineer
yeah.
is a
Yeah.
Google master, because it's
Yeah.
about speed, about time,
Yeah. Yeah.
about how quickly can you find the answer. And no software engineer is going to go, I know exactly what that one line of code, I say that, I've met a few that can do this, but it's a very rare
Yeah.
talent to go, I know exactly what line of code amongst the thousands of lines of code that this program is bugging on at the moment. I'm going to go and fix it. But
Yeah.
oftentimes it's just Google it real quick because someone else has come into this problem. We're not going to reinvent the
Mm.
wheel. We're just going to
Yes.
deal with it. And it's the
Yes.
same thing with ChatGPT and AI and trying to be creative. It's just piece this thing together for me so that I can then go and do it and expand upon it. As a creative partner, as a research partner, it is
Yeah.
just another tool like Google was
Yes.
back in the day when, it
Yeah.
was normal to go and study. This was it. You go and study, you read a book, then you learn, then you're qualified. But now
Yep.
everybody, same with YouTube, right? Like,
Yep.
if you want to know how to, change a tire, either a
Yep.
parent would have to teach you, or a mechanic, or you have to read a book,
Yep.
or you just do it yourself. You fuck it up, and then you move on. And you
Yep.
try it again. But now you can just watch a YouTube or a TikTok
Yeah.
in 30
Yeah.
seconds. Now you need to do it.
Exactly.
Same thing with ChatGPT.
Same thing. I agree.
Mm. It's a good place to be for us, and tying back to the project management is how well can you manage that project such that the customer knows that you are an expert. And
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you said that you don't know the tech, or you're
Yeah.
not there yet with it, which is not to say that you won't be. I'm sure you will, if that's what you
I
want to
won't.
do.
I won't
But
be. Yeah.
see, that's even better because you don't have to have technology. Just to share a story.
Yeah.
I went to a cinematographer expo in London. There were so many people all just talking about, what lens and what
Yeah.
brand.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. Yeah.
we've got this camera that, attaches to a crane, and this other one that sticks to the car. And we've got this like array of lenses, and it's all this. I walked through and
Yeah.
I just thought, there's so many things here. I wonder how many of these people know how to tell a story with this equipment.
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
no one cares if you've got a camera array of like 5 cameras that
They don't.
take this whole
They don't.
beautiful
Yeah.
light panoramic, stitch it all
Yeah.
together as this beautiful landscape shot. And I just sat there and I'm like, that's cool. That's probably several $100,000 piece of equipment, plus you need to hire the operator to know how
Yeah.
to use it, plus put it on the cars.
Yes.
But why are you shooting that? What is the landscape? What is this? This is a tool. Perfect, great, love it.
Yeah.
I love what you've done. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. The software behind it is pretty awesome too.
Yeah.
But why would I shoot that? You know, like it is back to the why. It's the story. It's the why would I need this particular tool to tell this particular story? And it's not always the case to say like, yeah, we do need that beautiful array. Oftentimes it's not, right? Like, and I was telling a friend this shorter filmmaking seems to be doing a whole lot better than the filmmaking that is, we'll call it feature films. You know, like it has to be a spectacle. It has to be a spectacle to make money in the feature film sense, because you've got a market, you've got the actors, you've got the production, it's hours long, it's editing, it's back and forth. But the idea of a short film in 10 minutes having attention spans as well, the impact in the storytelling that you have from that, I think you can reach that same level of emotion of going in and going, I felt something from that. My life has changed here. I want to get into filmmaking. And that doesn't, it all boils down to the story, really.
Yeah, and time, because I've been criticized a lot actually for, you know, my business partner will tease me that when I do a shoot on my own, it's on auto, right? And what I tell the client is, if you know, this is the price with me, this is the price with the team. So it goes up. You tell me how you want to do it. I don't hide the fact that I'm not a gearhead. And that's why my business partner is a gearhead. Like he's the one that chastises me, and I can get better for sure. But here's my retort to everyone that has criticized me, is that if we only have 24 hours in a day, people say that time is the most valuable asset. That's not true. Time is not the most valuable asset. It's what you do in the 24 hours. That's the most valuable asset, right? So if I'm 54, if let's say I have 20 years left, why would I spend time starting from scratch in a new area? Why not become a better storyteller, right? And then after, because I'll ask you, I had an argument with the lady yesterday at a networking event about using AI. And I asked her, I said, who holds more value, the story or the writer? Well, it's the same thing. It's really not the same thing. And so where I come from, the story trumps the writing. If the story is better than the writing, then the story can stand. I've seen great written stories that bore me to death. You know what I mean? I've seen phenomenal actors. And what's the movie with Robert De Niro? He's playing two mafia bosses. And it was really well written, really well acting, was fantastic. I fell asleep, man. It just was like, and I don't know what's going on with Hollywood. The Oscars, like these movies are just like, I don't know how the three acts are compelling enough with our new mindset. What's the movie with Kevin Costner that he thought was going to be an epic? Are you familiar with this movie?
No, but yeah, Kevin. See, even Kevin's a big name. He should be able to sell it, right?
It bombed. In fact, they were going to release part 2 in August last year. They scratched the release because they don't know what to do with it. It's already unwrapped. And the actors criticized the audience for not being educated enough and for being too TikTok attention deficit, that kind of thing. And I'm like, guys, if the point of telling a story is to engage an audience, we have to adapt as storytellers. We can't go on a 25-second pan left to right on the beauty of Montana anymore. It just, we get it. That's Montana. Where's the rest of the story? What's driving the story? So it's a fascinating part in which we're in right now with this. Do we cater to the, because too short of attention span, then the story is not, there's no depth, and then we have that problem, right, where the characters are all shallow. So it's a real balance in storytelling of how to do snappy depth, right? Maybe that's what I should call my film company, snappy depth. But like, because it has to be snappy now, or else you're going to lose your audience.
It does. It does. And to sell a feature film where, you know, to to have the depth that those actors were probably thinking, well, the audience is the problem. Well, first of all, you can't complain about the audience reactions to something.
You cannot.
Perhaps the problem could be pointed at, you know, the market. Maybe it was marketed to the wrong people. That's marketing. Maybe that's advertised to the wrong people. That's, you know, that's a separate conversation. But
Yeah.
to have someone sit down at the cinema, get the popcorn and the you know, the soda,
3 hours.
and then watch it. Yeah, 3 hours now. That's the other thing. Like, take me back to 90-minute movies, like Good Will Hunting, or like A Bug's Life. Like, I would go to the cinema and I'd still pay the same price, but I don't want to sit there for 2.5 hours because everyone's conscious of time these days, and I don't think it's an attention span thing.
Unless it earns your attention, though. That's the thing. Is like, if it earns your attention, really good faith-based film came out called Homestead, and they called it a movie, a 2-hour movie. And in the first 50 minutes, I was like, dude, this is awesome. I can be proud of my tribe, right? And then it wasn't preachy. It wasn't Jesus in your face. It was a really good story, right? Very apocalyptic. It was awesome. And then at the 15-minute mark, I noticed that the arc of the story started coming down. And I'm like, oh, are we done? Is this movie done? And it faded to black. And then it opened the next scene in an act one. They put 2 series episodes together and called it a movie. Now, do you think I don't know what's going on in the audience? Like, we got to respect our audience these days. We just say you got 2 episodes and you're not sitting and watching a full movie. Because I was like, and then of course the second episode was heavy into preaching. It was it was like, oh, okay, this is okay. You know, I'm a Christian, and I don't talk to my other Christian friend by saying, you know, brother, in Mark chapter 18, verse 25, the Bible says this. We don't talk that way. We don't talk that way. Why are we going to put that in the cinema? It makes no sense.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. You're right, though. We have to respect the audience because people are intelligent, right? Like, they just are. And I think a lot of people say the customer doesn't know what they want. Like, they do. They do. Particularly individuals where, and there's so much out there now. Like, it used to be go to the cinema and watch, you know, maybe upwards of 15 movies that you could pick. If you were lucky, maybe it was just 5. And then you knew of 3 of them, right? And then your friend was like, oh, you should go and watch that other one. But that's not the case anymore. You can pull out your phone, open up the Netflix app, and watch a whole movie in bed. And that Netflix, Disney, everything is a movie now. And people want the story, they want the depth, they want the acting to be good, they want the shots to sort of make sense,
and they want it snappy,
and they want it.
They want to drive it like I love. It's not series; it's the limited series. Are you familiar with these? They're like 3 to 4 episodes, maybe 5 and 6. Those are my favorite because you can get on a lazy day. You can watch the entire thing, right? Folding laundry or just kind of hanging out. Like, but you get to the 10 episode. I mean, maybe you can watch that in a day. I am not able to, but these ones that have the arc in a way that is like, I don't know. It's just, I think Taylor Sheridan has done a great job of just, the stories are so good. They enthrall you. They suck you in. He's someone that I really look up to And you don't see a lot of that in faith-based film. The Chosen biblical series. I'm not a fan of that era. We all, as filmmakers, we all have eras that we like. The biblical era, guys in robes and stuff, that just doesn't do it for me. So, but I forced myself to watch it, and it was some of the highest quality storytelling, highest quality filmmaking in the faith-based market. And if
Mhm.
we are so far behind to Hollywood in a proper film, because The Chosen's a series. So when you look at a feature film in faith-based, we are so far behind that, like I said, the opportunity is great. It is a great opportunity because our audience is very loyal. They'll pay money for crap because it has a
Mhm.
message or whatever it is. Even The Sound of Freedom, uh, they're at close
Right.
to 400 million. There's probably 45 minutes of just, ugh, will you move the story along? It just so, and that was like groundbreaking, right? I mean,
Mhm.
what it showed for sexual trafficking, really
Mhm.
good, but just mm, that's my opinion, right? We all have opinions. That's my
Yeah.
opinion. Is keep it snappy, and then get that
Yeah.
depth in there and internal conflict. Always with the internal conflict. That's another thing my faith-based brothers do not show enough of. You ever watch Breaking Bad?
Yes. Yeah.
We did you
It's,
root for him to become a killer? Like you
no.
kind of were rooting, but you were kind of rooting for him to provide for his family, like that. Where you're the audience and
Oh,
you're like,
yeah.
"Ooh, do I? What that? That is what is missing in faith-based film. That right there."
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And you see it in the acting, right? In the main
Yeah,
character of Breaking Bad, he sat there going, I
yeah,
know I shouldn't be doing this, but I'm
that's
going to
right.
do it anyway. And you can see his hesitation. Like
Yeah,
I've just been out long enough. We're not spoiling anything, but there's
yeah,
a scene where Jesse is like with this girl who's now distracting
yes,
from this whole
yes,
operation,
yes,
and I can't remember the main character. What's his name? He has a chance to save this girl because she's like choking
yes,
on the vomit,
yes.
and
Oh,
he
great
sat there
episode.
like you can see the conflict. You can see
Yeah,
how impactful it
yeah.
is. He's letting this person die. He's not a bad person.
And he doesn't want her to
Um,
die, but the opportunity presented itself.
yeah,
And
and
he's
he
it's
goes,
like it's like Sopranos when they had to off Big Pussy.
yeah,
Like just showing that, like, I gotta do this for hours. I don't know. Anyway,
yeah,
we could go on. I
you
mean,
are.
yeah, the depth, and you get the right actor, perfect combo, killer.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because I think the right actor delivers the scene um, in such a way that you know that you would react that same way, right? Or
Yeah.
if you put yourself in their shoes and you felt like, oh yeah, I could be this character, and it's the
Good.
same with the superhero movie, which I know that
The what
it's
movie?
sort of outlandish, but
What movie?
like a superhero movie. Now,
Yeah.
any
Are
kind of
you a fan
superhero
of that
movie,
genre? Are you a fan?
I'm a big fan. I have a Superman
You're a big.
tattoo right there.
But okay, but so I grew up in comic books
Right.
in the 80s, so I was after the by the time I was reading it in the 80s, the saving episode issue 1 that already jumped the shark. So I have issue
Mm.
1 of that McFarlane Spider-Man, and so does everyone else, right? But like so when they started coming out, it was my what I envisioned in the reading versus what now the was in cinema. And
Mm.
so there's always a like, well, that's not the way it was in the comics. I'm that guy.
Yeah. No, fair enough. Fair enough. I've been that guy with a few books. Like The Golden Compass is one of my
Oh,
favorite
okay.
films of all time. It's my favorite book series by Philip Pullman. 3 book series, and they made one movie about it in
Yeah,
2008.
Nicole Kidman, right?
That's it.
Yeah,
That's it. And I remember watching this movie going, that's exactly how I pictured everything. But they left out a few scenes, and I'm like so excited for the second movie to be about the second book. And then they came out with a TV series a few years ago, and I looked at it and went, that's not at all how I remember this. That didn't happen
oh
that before.
yeah,
The character didn't look like this, and I was so judgy
yeah,
with it. And I realized like
that's
it's
funny.
just with a book adaptation into a film, what you're watching is someone else's perspective of the same material,
Exactly.
and
Yeah,
they develop it into what they saw. Because when you read a book, it's everything in your
yeah,
head, right? Like it's just
yeah.
words. Whatever you see is in
So
your
what's your
head. And it's
favorite superhero movie?
hands down, Man of Steel 2013 with Henry Cavill. That's the one that
Really?
inspired me to get the tattoo. I used to have like a Superman wallpaper when I was, back then.
Yeah.
Like,
What
which
about
sounds like a
the
kid, but I love it. Like,
the one with Kevin Spacey as Lex Luthor?
that one's nice. That's 19. No, that was
No,
2004 with
they used the
oh
same score. They used the same score as Christopher Reeve.
yeah,
Yeah.
because
So I
Christopher
love that
Reeve.
score. Yeah.
1984. They did the same thing
Yeah.
with the new one come out this year.
That's
That
right.
you can hear that the sound is
I love it.
completely.
I get goose. Something about movies in the 80s. I don't know if it was for you when you were a kid, but you had the Indiana Jones, you had the Rocky, you had the Superman, and
Yeah.
it might be the same guy doing the score. Dun, 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 and I guess just was, and I never got that with Avengers. I just my kids love it. It
Yeah,
doesn't have that tie with the musical score behind it.
absolutely. I 100% agree with you, and I know exactly what you're talking about because with Star Wars, John Williams did the same music as Star Wars
Yes,
as
John Williams
and Superman,
and
and it was
Raiders
so
and
visceral.
Superman.
Yeah, he's
He might have done
it's
Rocky.
so.
I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like you need to look this up, but yeah,
Yeah,
and then Hans Zimmer is the other one. That's why I love
yeah.
Man of Steel. There's a scene where he learns to fly, and that still gets me like
Mm,
like the first two notes of that, I'm just like on edge.
yeah,
I'm like, whatever I'm doing, I'm not there
yeah,
anymore. I'm in my head.
yeah.
I'm picturing the scene. I'm
Love it.
picturing myself, and I'm not idolizing myself. I'm just seeing it
Oh, I
as
get
I
it.
do.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I
yeah.
see myself as Superman flying around
Yeah.
the world, and like learning.
Was that the one with Kevin Costner? Was his dad?
Uh,
Superman's dad?
yeah, no, that was Australian actor. Oh, why is his name escaping me? He was Gladiator. He was the main character in
So who
Gladiator.
was Kevin Costner dad? Was that the one with Kevin Spacey?
I think
I
so.
think he
It would
was.
have been.
I think he was Superman's dad in one of these films. The Superman's dad in this one looks nothing like I remember. He's like this big dude. Have you seen the new trailer that came out?
No, I've been actively trying to avoid it. I want to go into the cinema and just watch it.
Oh,
So,
get it. Now, did you see
yeah.
Minecraft?
I didn't see it, but I've seen enough content around it.
I went in I went in for the popcorn. Like my kids wanted to see it. I went in there. It was the most fun I have ever had in a
Yeah.
movie theater.
Oh, that's
Not
so
because of the
cool.
movie, not because of the movie. The audience was so energized. Just like Spider-Man, where they had the other Spider-Mans in there. The
Yeah, No Way
audience was
Home.
like every time the old Spider-Man showed up on the screen, the whole place just erupted. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. Oh, that's so
But
good. When you those sorts of films, like I think it was the same in Endgame, Avengers Endgame. Whenever Captain America catches Mjolnir, Thor's hammer,
yeah,
everyone just screamed out. It was this feeling of like, yeah, we all knew that Captain America was like good, that Steve Rogers was good enough to wield Mjolnir, and it
yeah,
finally happened. And then the fight continues. It's just this beautiful scene.
yeah.
Um, which yeah, like my little brother got me a like a steel plated piece of artwork of that exact scene with the cracked shield, but Captain America, and he's holding Mjolnir, and
Nice.
it's just a warrior stance, ready to go into
Yeah.
battle. And I still, I don't know where it is, but I still have it. I still have that
Nice.
piece of art. It's a beautiful thing. Just to go back to it, yes, you're right. Kevin Costner was Jonathan Kent. I was thinking you were talking about Jor-El. Russell
Oh,
Crowe was Jor-El
yes.
in that
Yeah.
Man of Steel movie. That's my favorite one. But would you say
Yeah.
then do you have a favorite superhero movie, or is it comics for you?
It's got to be Superman, Christopher Reeve.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, okay,
Superman 2.
yeah,
He lost his
that's a good one.
powers for Lois. Yeah, that one was. And the fight scene at
It's,
the end
it's
where
so
he goes
good.
back, he just whoops up on that guy.
Yeah, yeah.
It's awesome.
There's something about those 80s films that was so good, particularly. So the thing that stands out with me for I suppose filmmaking, but also acting, is the fact that Christopher Reeve could turn from Clark Kent into Superman with nothing but posture, voice, and removing his glasses. And you were convinced that whenever he just did this, he's like all hunched. He's like, oh, I'm gonna nail something, and you know, all nasally. And then all he does is this, and he lowers his voice and he says, I have to tell you something. It's just this scene where it's like so simple, but you can
Yeah.
see why people go, oh yeah, you know, he's just this little like
Yeah.
nerdy kind of like doing all this sort of blinking a
Yeah.
lot, and then but then when you do this and you sit up straight and you make direct eye contact and you don't blink and you lower your voice a
Yeah.
little bit and you keep going, like there's more authority in it. There's more, I'm listening to
Yeah.
what you're saying. And then you pause a bit too, which obviously I'm not doing. But
So,
yeah,
so
it's
are you
so
DC or Marvel?
I would say DC, but that's not to say that Marvel is bad. Like I liked that storyline from Iron Man to Endgame. And then I also
Mm.
like the Loki TV series. That for me has been really opening, which I think ties back to the music. What Natalie Holt has done with the music, and that one scene with Owen Wilson sitting there going, I'm just gonna sit here and let time pass. And the music
I don't.
behind that is just
What show is
beautiful.
this?
It's called Loki.
Oh yeah, I haven't watched it. Yep.
You should. It's on Disney Plus. It's quite nice.
It's got to
It's
get in line because I have so much to catch up on.
well,
I haven't seen
look,
season 3 of White Lotus yet.
oh right. I see. I haven't watched White Lotus at all. I hear it's very
Oh,
good.
it's I can't get a read on the guy's intent, the director, the
Mm,
filmmaker's intent, but the
right.
storytelling is so compelling. There are some scenes, someone that goes to church and such, there are some scenes that are just inappropriate. They don't need to be in there. But the internal conflict, they do such a good job with that. The and what I love about the first, I don't think this is a spoiler, but I used to reference this when I would do leadership development or self-help talk, is that you have a man and a woman that are separated but live still together. So he messed up, cheated or something, and she was a successful CEO and like treated him like a dog, but she didn't divorce him. So you're watching it going like, the guy's better off if she divorces him, right? Because he's always living in his mistake, right?
Mm,
And she has no respect for him until she is, I might be butchering it, but either her or her daughter is sexually assaulted,
mm,
and he comes in and whoops up on the guy. And they did a great job of, from then on, she looked at him with the same love she had when they first got together. And what I tell that story for folks is, nothing changed about the individual or their circumstances. The only thing that
yeah.
changed was perspective.
Yeah.
There's a new perspective. And so when we're in the muck, and for filmmakers out there, because I didn't know, I could talk to you forever, dude. We can, but if there are filmmakers watching this and you're in that rut, you've got to just keep moving forward. Keep moving forward, because you just, it's the same circumstance. You just change your perspective and keep moving forward. because I think that, and it moved to Vegas. I mean, the Vegas is Hollywood 2.0. I heard a rumor yesterday that Sony owns the land that the Hollywood sign is on. And
Right.
Sony is pitching so hard to build a studio here, Summerlin Studios, that the rumor is they're gonna bring the Hollywood sign to Vegas. So
Ooh.
they're gonna have 10,000 new jobs. I mean, Vegas is gonna be Hollywood 2.0. And
Yeah.
Trump, our fearless leader, has did you hear about his tariff on filmmaking?
No, not that one. I heard about all the others. But,
Well, all the others were just a negotiating tactic
mm.
because he's come back on every single one. So now today our stock market is up. His approval rating is through the roof again. He said any film produced outside of the United States, 100% tariff.
Yeah.
Hollywood's like, yes, yes, they hate the man. And now they're like, yes, because Hollywood's dying, man. I mean, the strike,
Mm,
COVID and the strike at Hollywood.
mm,
And I know this because I'm trying to sell a production trailer and
mm.
I'll make these
Right.
cold calls. And the people are like, I haven't recovered. I'm like, the strike, that was 2 years ago. It is so bad here. So bad that that Trump's trying to he wants everything fair. And so he's like 100% tariff. If you go to Vancouver, Canada, because you want to get cheap rates or whatever, tariff. If you're going to go here, tariff, tariff, tariff. So it'll be interesting to see if it will force filmmaking to come back, at least some of it to come back into the States.
For
So it'll be
sure.
interesting to see.
Yeah, definitely into at least California for sure, and then
Oh yeah, they're hurting.
New York. New York's obviously one of those big ones as well, and then all the
Atlanta, North Carolina's big, actually.
no,
North Carolina.
yeah,
So
yeah,
we'll see.
Georgia, yeah,
Georgia. Yep. Yep.
for sure.
We'll see.
Do you mind? I have one last question for you. I know
Please,
we've gone
please.
almost an hour and a half. This is amazing, by the way. Thank you
Yeah,
for your
have
time.
fun editing this one.
Yeah.
It's a good thing it's only one camera view.
Yeah. See, this is the best part. I have an AI tool that can create clips out of this.
Oh, very
um,
cool. Yes.
but I was just, I think one of the most intriguing things that have come up is your ability to tell a story and then notice the faith-based
Yeah.
film and then the internal conflict, not just in the characters but in the audience. So
Yeah.
it's keeping in mind all of this history that you have, and then the business, and then as a filmmaker in every sense of the word. So what sort of stories would you like to tell?
Uh, you know, I want to follow and I'm not trying to convert anyone. I don't care what other people believe. Um, Jesus was a historically accurate, like no one denies his existence. No one denies his dying on the cross. No one denies an empty tomb. Not even atheists. Now they'll say that, his body was moved or whatever. All of that is undeniable, right? He was a historical figure. And the historical figure told stories. And they were parables. Now, parables were not something Jesus did by himself. The religious leaders of the day, they're the villains, right? The religious leaders are the villains. They would tell parables as a way to control the little people. So the religious leaders would look down on the peasants, and that's who Jesus hung out with. They accused him of hanging out with tax collectors and sinners. So tax collectors were a greater level of evil to the religious leaders than even sinners were, right? But Jesus would tell stories and he would not give you the moral of the story.
Mm.
He would not close the loop. And the disciples asked him, why do you speak in parables? And his answer, I'm paraphrasing, his answer was, for those that understand to understand. In other words, he told a story to a specific audience. And when I meet, we did BoomVideo did a Mother's Day Instagram post. And we said, to all the single mom business owners, we see you, we hear you, we celebrate you. Happy Mother's Day. We were very targeted on our audience. And anyone that I can talk to about storytelling, zero in on that audience and talk to them. Oh, but I want to help everybody. I know you want to help everybody, but it'll spill over. Talk to your audience. Then you can talk in code. Then you can get real Easter eggy. Like you can have really fun with your target audience. Well, I don't know my target audience. Exactly, which is why you got to ask them questions and questions and questions and questions. So what I teach people is to have an arsenal of stories. And the way you do that, because here's the thing, creativity is a skill, and creativity comes from boredom. How many
Mm.
bored people do you know today?
Countless. They're all scrolling.
But they're not bored. You see what I'm saying? They're feeding their boredom with the scrolling. So
Yeah.
their mind is still stimulated. So
Mm.
creativity is at all time, it's just crashing, which is another reason why I'm not worried about AI.
Mm.
Because if you are bored, you'll start to just create these worlds in your head, right? And you'll start to, and I go to church, and 90% of the sermons are so boring. Instead of scrolling, I force myself to just think in my own head. So so my technique is, how many stories can I have in here that when a situation presents itself, I pull that story. So it's situational storytelling, right? And the way you do that, if you're not a natural storyteller, it's okay. Storytelling is a skill, it's not a gift. It is not a gift. Anyone tells stories. The hard part people have is telling stories to strangers.
Mm.
So you have situational storytelling, and you have to learn to tell stories to strangers as if you were friendly with them. Because I've been around dumb people, smart people, tall people, short people, skinny people, fat people. If they're comfortable with their surrounding, they can tell a story. Anyone can tell a story, but we're just not good at it. So we got to practice. So what I tell people is, tell a story to someone every single day. Well, Troy, nothing happened to me today. Perfect. Nothing happened to you today. So now create the nothing that happened to you today in a story. I was driving on the way to work. And when you drive on the way to work and someone in front of you stops abruptly, create a story about I rear-ended them and then they got out. We got in this big, like, just create a story. It doesn't have to be
Mm.
true, but just create a story. Now, when you tell stories, you want them to be true,
Yeah.
right? Three
Do something.
R's: raw, real, relative. Your
Hmm.
story needs to be raw, it needs to be real, and it needs to be relative to your audience. So these are all the components of storytelling that when you put that with the faith-based audience or the faith-based film, this is the biggest problem faith-based film has. They focus on the message more than the story. If we look at Jesus's model, he did not push a message. He told a story. If you got the message, cool. If you didn't, he didn't put his hand over your shoulder and say, "Hey, bud, I was really trying to say this." He didn't say that because he trusted who his audience were at the journey they were in to follow him or not. He didn't try to convert anyone to follow him. He didn't beg anyone, "Please follow me." No, he told a story if it engaged you. And here's the other component. If you go to and I experienced this with my pay your price video. I went to small business owners who couldn't afford video. And I said, "I'll make you a video, you pay me what you think it's worth." 54 clients, 51 were satisfied. Not only satisfied, they gushed over the work because they don't have a lot of money. So they just took advantage of an opportunity. Now that I have a gear and I have equipment, clients are like, they're kind of ornery a little bit. They, my first question to every client is, did you like it? And they don't, it doesn't matter if they liked it. They got to get it done or they got to, it's very different than when I did the freebie. So if you're a filmmaker and you're struggling, go do a pay your price for a month. You will feel so much better about your craft. You'll work a lot. You may not get paid what you're worth, but your feeling of self-worth will skyrocket, man, because you're helping small business owners who can't afford it. You're like, hey, you know what? I got time today. Let me come over and do a shoot. It'll take 30 minutes. I'll spend a couple hours editing. I'll give it to you. If you want to buy it, you pay me. Whatever you want. You're going to make their life, dude. They're going to be so appreciative. So Jesus would come in, and instead of talking to the rich man, he went to the poor and he fed them. So if I'm going to feed you and you're hungry, and then I'm going to tell you a story, do you think they're going to listen? Imagine if teachers in education would take that model. I'm going to give
Mm,
you something that you want, and then I'm going to teach you. You
mm,
have their attention. Teachers are like, pay attention, class. Why? The students aren't paid to learn. You're paid to teach. You have to keep their attention, not them pay attention. It's on you. So as a storyteller, the burden's on us to tell a story that is so compelling. And when you find that right audience, and it may feel like I'm going all over the place. In here, it makes so much sense.
no, it
Find the
does, buddy.
audience that's desperate for something that you have, and then give it to them,
Mm,
and then move that audience from A to B. And that will help any career you're in. It'll help your marriage. It'll help your parenting, and it's just a great way to live, in my opinion.
for sure. Absolutely. I love the way you articulated that. Give what they need,
Yep.
and give it. Don't try to force it. Don't try to sell it. Just offer and say, I can provide this for you. And then if, and this is the best part, you ask. You let them decide. You don't say, oh, and I'm going to charge you, and you're
That's
pulling
right.
the rug. You're giving, and then you're asking.
That's right.
And did you say 51 out of 54 gave you something
Fi-
back?
Well, 50. So it was 54. Um, Three were not satisfied. Two of them were couple shoots. And because it was with my, when you film with your phone, you're in and out, right? So
Yeah.
I would do three a day. And I would write the script from scratch. So I would sit down with them, and both of them I interviewed. I wrote the script, and then they brought their partner to film with them. And I was like, um, unless you have great chemistry, this isn't going to work. I advise against it. We want to
Mm,
do it anyway. Okay. So I gave them the final product, fully edited. I said, do you want to buy it? And they both said no. And I couldn't talk them out of it because the chemistry was bad. And people
mm,
can, when you, I don't know about you, but anytime you sell video to a potential client, use this line. I've been to your website. You have a lot of great text. Text transfers information. Video transfers emotion. You
mm.
need both. You need them to feel as they read. So when I have two couples that don't have any chemistry do a video, it's like Michael Scott awkward. You're like,
Yeah.
eh. So I
Yeah.
couldn't talk. The third person, so that's two of the three. The third person might have been certifiably crazy.
Okay.
He was a 1980s exercise queen. I don't know if you know
Right.
this. You know the hair, the
Yep.
leotards,
Yep.
the jumpsuit.
Hmm.
Hey guys, we're gonna 80s. She wanted to make a comeback, and she was in her 80s.
Oh, she was in her 80s.
She did it in the 80s.
Okay.
Beautiful, right? Farrah Fawcett hair. And she had this weird technique, and she was bringing it back. She was early 80s. And I went, and she wanted to do the pay your price. So I went with my iPhone. It was the worst experience of my life. She she ended up ghosting me. But as I'm filming her, I'll never forget, and I learned a lot. I never forget. I'm setting up the camera, and I'm like, okay, where we're shooting, there's a picture above you that's not framed, centered. Are you okay with that? Yeah, it's fine. Are you sure? Because I'm not okay with it. And I did not assert myself, Josh. Nowadays, like, I'm not filming. We're not doing this shot. Because when she saw the video, she reamed me for it not being centered. And I was like, I literally asked you, well, you should have known better. Maybe she's right, maybe she's wrong, but I wasn't gonna reshoot her. I mean, so those 3 out of 54 were the ones that weren't satisfied
Mm.
over 3 years, I think.
But
Yeah.
still, that's such a good ratio of good
Is it?
to create. If 3 weren't happy, 3 not satisfied out of 54.
Well, but okay, but contextually, they only paid if they wanted to buy it. So what I'm finding with that audience versus the paying clients, it's so different, dude. Like
Mm,
it is the clients that pay, they know they're paying, they treat you way different.
mm,
And I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that I see both,
mm,
and there's way more pressure with a someone's going to pay you 10 grand for 5 edits. There's pressure there, right?
mhm,
And they apply. It's a different working with a creative agency. There's pressure there. Working with the pay your price, you won't pay your bills, but you live a freedom that is really indescribable. So
yeah,
if you're in a rut, do it. If you're not in a rut, do your business. But if you're in a rut and you're questioning your skills, do the pay your price, and it'll be healing for you for sure.
for sure, for sure. I
Yeah.
just on that point about getting the paid work, people value what they buy.
Hmm.
And if you're charging and if you say, this is the price, as soon as they pay for it, that's where they begin to value it. And they say, this is good. Or
Yeah.
I have a stake in this because they're putting up the money. And so they pay more attention. And then if in that case, if you had asked the question, do you want to shift this or it's not centered? Someone who's paying would probably be like, oh, I value this question. You're the
Oh,
expert.
that's a good
Now I
point.
I have to move this. I have to consider, or
Yeah.
you could say, I'll put it on you and you decide, right? And then if they pay
Yeah.
for it and you say it's fine, they'll
Yeah.
come back and go, oh, it is fine. They might have watched the
That's a
video
good
and
point.
gone, I've paid for your expertise, so it's fine. I'll not worry. Let's get in. Or they don't even pay attention to it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, no,
Good point.
that's a beautiful way of putting it in that. Having that freedom is nice, but only if you're in a rut. Make sure that
Yeah.
you're offer and ask.
But
Um,
I will say this though. I bet you Michael has both. I bet you there's a point where you reach, right? Where you have
mm,
so much clout that you're getting the big money and you
yes,
have that freedom. That would be our goal of all filmmakers, I think. But it's just keep moving forward. That's all. That's my only advice. Keep moving forward. If you need a kick in the pants, go to my website, troyritchie.com, and that's the whole message of it's you got it, now go get it. If you know you're supposed to be doing film, go get it. That's it.
beautiful, love it. I'll go to your website straight after this. Buying your book.
Cool.
We're doing that. Perfect. All right, should
Awesome.
we wrap it up there? This has been amazing.
There we go.
Thanks very much, Troy. Really appreciate your time.
Awesome, man. All right, Josh, have fun
This is
clipping this.
I will. It's going to be great because
Okay.
I'm going to look back on these motivational quotes. I'm going to feel really good about it. So,
All right, buddy.
all right.
We'll talk to
Thanks,
you.
man. See you later.
Bye.